It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue-focused late-night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to empower. Our mission is to inspire. And our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you would call to serve. On this episode, we have the one and only Domonique Briggs. She's in the building, and she's here to share with you that emotional intelligence is not an option. It's essential. Almost like a must. We'll figure out what even emotional intelligence is. What's going on, Domonique? How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, Mr. Brown?
Oh, Mr. Brown Day. I'm doing fine. Thanks a lot for being here. I certainly appreciate it. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, and allowing us to stream and inviting us into your home to be a part of this experience. So thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Before we get started, Domonique, I'm just curious, emotional intelligence. I'm just curious, what is your definition? Like, what is it? I mean, I hear all the time it's just how you feel and make people feel, but I don't know. So what is emotional intelligence? We can all be on the same page.
I love that question. And it's absolutely more than just how you feel, right? So when we think about the textbook definition of emotional intelligence, it's your ability to understand and manage your own emotions, but also to be able to influence the emotions of others. So people who are able to read the room, they have emotional intelligence. People who are leaders and not just good managers, right? They know how to motivate their people. They can push them to do things that other people might not be able to get them to do. That's emotional intelligence. It's really the glue to all the relationships that we have, whether that's platonic, romantic, or familial type relationships as well.
Then I'm going to ask a really silly question. Maybe I'm the only one that's thinking this. I went to DC public schools, by the way, so maybe I'm the only one that feels this. But why are people struggling with using emotional intelligence as a leader or someone in charge of an organization when it seems like they should just be doing the right thing and making people happy? Like, why are people struggling with emotional intelligence these days?
Yeah, I love that question. And one of the operative words that you said in your sentence was should. They should be able to do things, right? And so what I teach my clients is that you should not should all over yourself. You want to make sure you're not doing that because it's not something that comes naturally to a lot of people. In our society, dominant culture teaches us to leave emotions at the door. Men don't have space to be able to really focus and reflect on their feelings, to understand why they're feeling that way. You're called soft if you cry, right? In the work environment, emotions are not supposed to be a part of the workplace according to the way that things were created a long time ago, because you're supposed to be there to make money and focus on the business. However, if you are not a whole person, if you are not well on the inside, there's no way that you're going to be able to lead other people well. So it's very important that we get in touch with our emotions so that we can influence people and motivate them to do what they should do, instead of just always trying to put down like an iron fist. Like you have to do this because I told you to. No, I don't. And COVID showed us in a variety of ways that the rules that we had before were not always the best or not the ones that are working. So now we have to make sure we are considering people as human beings and not just creating task lists that were meant for machines, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And what do you say to the entrepreneur? And don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into who is she. Some of you might be wondering, who is this Domonique Briggs? I don't even know who she is, by the way. I didn't read her bio. I'm in the kitchen cooking, but I heard something going on and it sounded good to me. Don't worry. She'll tell you her backstory in a moment and who she is. But for the entrepreneur that's listening right now that may have the question, and they might be thinking, Domonique, how does that apply to me? I don't have an organization. I don't have a bunch of folks that work for me. I work with a lot of people who I don't see, who are, let's call them subcontractors. They do work for the company, but they don't directly report to me. How does emotional intelligence apply to me when I'm working from my home? And a number of folks that are watching right now, so you might notice already, Dominique, they're entrepreneurs. They're dualpreneurs. Yes. They work full-time jobs and then they're full-time entrepreneurs. So how does emotional intelligence work for the entrepreneur who has to get things done through other people who sometimes don't directly work for them?
Absolutely. I think emotional intelligence is the most important piece of the puzzle for an entrepreneur, because we are the ones that have to motivate ourselves to be disciplined enough in order to attract the clients that we're serving, right? So the fact that many of the entrepreneurs that may be watching the call right now deal with a variety of people is the number one reason why you should be working on your own emotional intelligence, so that when you are in those meetings, you're not allowing other people's energy to influence how you show up. Right. It is the management of your own emotions, but also understanding how you're interacting with other people. So everybody is not, I would say, a people person or easy to deal with. Everybody comes with different types of personality traits, different life experiences. And when you are emotionally intelligent, it helps you to be able to navigate a variety of relationships, not just the people that you lead. So it helps you. One of my friends call these sayings that I say often domisms, right? Instead of like a colloquialism, they call them domisms. And one of them that I say frequently is relationships drive results. It's very similar to the colloquialism that it's not what you know, it's who you know. Right. So if you are able to connect with people on a deep level and understand their background, understand what it is they're trying to do in reference to their passion, it's going to take you much further than if you were trying to do something on your own.
I promise you, my next question will ask about her background, but there are a number of folks in here who are senior leaders, and they
Yes.
lead organizations. Maybe they lead companies, they lead nonprofits. Some folks work in the government sector and serve on that side. And they may be wondering, Domonique, I'm good. I mean, not all of you, but some of you are thinking that maybe. But how do I take this and apply it to my team so they could start using emotional intelligence in their day to day? So they're responsible for leading groups. And I know you do training. I hope you'll get to that a little later. We'll talk about that. But if you had to give one idea or two ideas to someone right now that is leading an organization or leading a team or leading a group, and they're like, man, okay, I'm good, but can I transfer some of this over to another folks so they can be more emotionally intelligent, if that's such a word? Does that make sense to you?
It
So
is
how
a
do
word, and it's
leaders use
now.
it so their group gets better? That's the question.
Look, Shay, so I got two things for you. The first thing I want to, what you said that you grew up in DC, is that right?
Washington, D.C. Yes, I'm a native
In
Washingtonian.
DC,
I'm
okay.
still here, by the way.
Look, the reason I'm saying that is because you said, instead of saying government, you said government jobs.
Government
I
job. They
said,
got good
what?
government jobs.
The good government job. All right. You sounded like you from the South. All right. So, and then the second thing, I'm going to need you to do me a huge favor. When you use the term emotional intelligence, I need you to stop putting up the air quotes. Okay.
Okay, because
Because
it's real.
apparently here I am convincing you that emotional intelligence is also not an option. It is essential. So we can't convince the viewers that it's essential if you are putting up these air
Okay,
quotes. You picking up
it's
what I'm putting
essential. I
down?
got it.
All right. Yes, I love that. It is essential. Now, for my senior leaders who feel like they have been doing the work in order to ensure that their emotional intelligence is on a high level, one tip that I would provide for you all is to create a space for reflection. Create a space for reflection. Most times in the organizations that I see, we create these task lists, like I said earlier, that are meant more so for machines than for people, but you're more concerned about the bottom line and the results, right? We talk about the process in order to get from A to Z, but we oftentimes do not create spaces to reflect on what happened in the process in order to ensure that it was the most effective way to do things. So when you create a space for reflection, you allow people to understand out first what the outcome was, but also what did I bring to the table in order to make sure that we could achieve that goal? Is there something that I could have done better? Is there something that I should have done differently? Is this something that we want to continue to maintain? So it allows you to analyze your own behaviors and how you showed up in the process and not just focus on the results.
I love it. Now we lead right to where we wanted to get to, which is, who is Domonique Briggs? What's her backstory? And what was the turning point? Three-part question. She can handle it, ladies and gentlemen, which is, who is she? I know you're curious about that. More importantly, what was that turning point that led her to doing what she's doing now and being so, I should say, passionate and saying emotional intelligence is essential. It's not option. It's essential. Tell us your backstory.
Yes. I'm so proud of you, Shay. You learned so quick because you threw them air quotes away. Thank you so
I'm
much.
trainable. I have a wife, I'm trainable. Okay, I'm trainable.
Look, Look, you understand. So I am known widely as a Dominique from Detroit. I'm born and raised in the city of Detroit. I have lived in Chicago for the last 15 years, and I've been working in the education space for the last 10 years. So I'm known here affectionately as Chicago's emotional intelligence expert. I'm the founder and president of a company called Urban Community Alliance, where my whole mission is to improve the emotional resilience of people who live and work in urban communities. And so I got into this work, like I said, about 10 years ago. And I always like to say that because of the state that I was in, I had just been diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. So I always joke and say that God opened the doors and I cha-cha right on through them things because I was not looking for a transition. At that time frame, I was working, doing business to business sales. And I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. Shout out to my baby, Eva Simone. She's 10 now. But I had a really rough pregnancy. I was diagnosed with a condition called hyperemesis gravidarum, which is extreme morning sickness. So I couldn't hold any food down. I had a in-home IV. I was walking around with a Zofran pump, which I had to stick a needle in my stomach every day in order to help me to hold food down. So I could not work. And while I was out on short-term disability, I received an email from my former principal that said he received my resume from one of his colleagues to a job I never even applied for. And he thought I would be a great fit for the music teacher position. So that's why I say that God opened the doors and I cha-cha right on through them things, because that transition into education at that point has proven to be the turning point in my life that helped me find what I'm passionate about and not just to do things that I'm good at. And so as I was a teacher, I was placed in a teacher leadership position where we were helping our students or our school to improve their restorative practices. Some of the kids told us that they felt like the school felt more like a prison than a place that they wanted to come to and learn from. And so I helped the team during that time frame to shift some of our restorative practices around and start focusing on mindfulness in the classroom so that kids will be able to to increase their own self-awareness, and that in turn had an impact on the teachers as well, because it was not only working for the kids but it was working for the adults. That year we reduced out of school suspensions by 30% in one school year, which is almost
Wow.
unheard of. And we also used those principles in the first nonprofit that I started, which is called She Chicago, where we were able to reduce behavioral incidents for those girls, since we work with them one on one, by 62%. So this is why I say that emotional intelligence is essential, not just in the school system, but in our families, in our workplaces, in our romantic relationships, because it's that glue that holds everything together. People learn from you more if they like you. You can collaborate better if the culture feels like one of cohesion and peace, and not where you have to always be on guard or on the defense. So I was introduced to this work through my work in the classroom, but I've since transitioned working with children and young adults to adults that support people in underserved communities, because there's so many different programs that are aimed at supporting kids, but not enough for the adults. Outside of the workshops that I do that you mentioned, I'm also a published author of not one, but two books. Here's my other one, that help people heal from the things that they hide from others. So the same advice that I gave to senior leaders around creating a space of reflection for your team, I have created these resources for individuals as well, because many times people are walking around with stuff that they're dealing with on the inside and they don't know how to articulate, or they don't have a space to be able to share that. And I want to be remembered for creating that space.
You are. This is very memorable itself. It's not an option, it's essential. What do you enjoy
Absolutely.
most about what you're doing now? You seem to light up. You get so excited talking about it. You're very passionate about it. What do you enjoy most about teaching and implementing emotional intelligence for individuals every single day?
Um, I would say it's a little selfish, honestly. I feel I'm excited, I'm honored, I'm so grateful to be able to walk in my purpose. I feel like I am doing the Lord's work and that He has created me just for this. So it is empowering to get paid to show up as myself. I'm not pretending to do things. These are the same conversations that I would have with my own children or my friends and family are what I'm able to have in professional conversations and environments. So I really just get the opportunity to show up fully and authentically in every space that I occupy. If I step outside of myself for a moment, I really enjoy seeing people have aha moments or epiphanies in my air quote classrooms. Because a lot of times I'm in an auditorium or a conference room or something like that since I'm working with adults. But when they're like, oh, this makes sense, or now I have some type of language to articulate what I was feeling on the inside, or I have been so misunderstood for so long, and it's helped me so much, Miss Dominique. Like it's very fulfilling and heartwarming. Some of my clients have said that my sessions feel like therapy for work. And so knowing that I'm able to help people really operate in their purpose too is something that I get excited about every time I walk into those spaces.
I love it, by the way. And I think that's a perfect segue. And I had a chance to meet you and be there at least twice and two occasions recently. And your energy is the same offline as it is online, and that same passion that you have, by the way. And it leads us to a segment we have here. I think it's a good transition called Today is my January 1st. Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. In fact, you might even wait every night to say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you. And for all the new folks that are tuning in for the very first time, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is, the past really no longer equals the future. And so my question for Domonique on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what kind of goes through your mind? And number two, what was another setback, another challenge, another roadblock you had in your life, if any more, and how were you able to overcome it?
Yeah. Wow, Shay. So there are two things that immediately come up for me. The first one I talked to y'all a little bit about already when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. That is the time frame that I was diagnosed with the clinical depression and anxiety, and also that hyperemesis gravidarum. So I literally was at the worst point of my entire life. You can see I'm kind of thin. I'm strong, but I'm kind of thin already naturally. And in that pregnancy, I lost 15 pounds when you're supposed to be gaining weight. So that changed my life, because up until that point, when I was 30 years old, I realized that I had not been living with emotions. I was not very emotionally intelligent at all. And that was where my journey in therapy and becoming the emotional intelligence expert really began. So that's the first moment that I think about. But the second one, Shay, you was there with me when it happened. The most recent January 1st moment was June 21st, 2025, when I traveled down to Orlando, Florida to dominate the Miss Corporate America USA National competition with my team. And I put forth my absolute best effort and came up in the place of first runner up, which is something to be very proud of, but it's something that hit me really hard. I've been grieving the loss because I expected to win. So this has been a January 1st moment for me, because it allowed me to be my own client, right? I have been coaching myself through the cycles of grief, through my 3 Ps, which is to pause, process, and pivot, in order to be able to operate as an emotionally intelligent leader on a public forum. So it has been so many different things that I've had to navigate during this time frame, so that I can still show up as the best Miss Illinois that I can be, but also the best businesswoman, the best mom, the best human being, the best child of God that I can be in general. And I've been doing lots of things to support my growth and recovery in that moment, because that pageant took a lot out of me. I gave my absolute best performance for 4 months. We were working on those things. So that January 1st moment, though, is also the pathway that led me here with you all, because without that, I wouldn't even be able to share my journey and this gift that God has given me with your amazing platform of viewers who watch the Happy Entrepreneur show. So pausing, processing, and pivoted to make sure that I can be the best version of myself that I could absolutely be.
Well, kudos to you, by the way. I was there and it was amazing. You were amazing. You were incredible, by the way. And, I wasn't a judge that evening, but I'll just say you knocked out the park. Truly,
Thank
truly
you.
incredible presence on stage. One question I get to ask when we have a few moments, and we have a few minutes now, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given from someone else? And I like to frame it for the audience so they're aware we're not asking them off the mountain with the 10 commandments here. Okay, that's not what we're asking.
Yeah.
But we know you had more mentors you can probably remember right now. You probably read more books that you don't even think about. You've probably been to more webinars and online courses, and you've done so much along this journey. But if you had to step back and say, wow, Shay, I've been given a lot of advice, but this is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever been given. What would it be that you would share with the audience and why?
I feel like there is always two things that I got to say. And you see, I love to talk. The first one that I'm going to give is to do things in digestible portions. There are many of us who are high achievers, and we oftentimes bite off more than we can chew. We have big dreams that require lots of capacity in order to bring them to life. And many of us want to do everything all at once in order to achieve that dream. My big sister told me about 5 years ago that in order to make sure that I am not overwhelmed in situations where I have to drink from the fire hose is to do things in digestible portions. So if today all I can get done is the outline, then I'm going to do the outline, and then I'll pick it up maybe 5 hours later and then build out the outline for my plan. So I'm doing things in small increments in order to make sure that I can achieve my desired result. They always say that the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? So I would say that is the best piece of advice that I have received, in addition to the fact that true leaders lean into discomfort. So if you are not comfortable being uncomfortable, then leadership is probably not for you. If you are ready to step in a situation where you got to figure things out and it might not feel good all the time, then you are ready for leadership. And that's why, Che, that emotional intelligence is essential, because you got to know how to operate in uncomfortable situations.
Well said. What does success look like for you today? What does it feel like for you for where you are in your life and all you've done and all you accomplished? What does success look like for you these days?
Yeah. Freedom. So I'm grateful right now that I have the ability to manage my own schedule. However, I've set a lofty goal. My girlfriends and I joke about the fact that I'm graduating in 4 more years, because by the time I'm 45, I do not plan to have to work for money. So success for me will look a little differently for then, because I'll have the time to be able to grow food for my family and have a garden in the back so I can tend to my plants and be more present with my children and the families that they will start to create during that time frame. Because I do not wake up, well, right now I kind of do, but I don't want to wake up chasing capitalism. Don't want to do that. So success for me really looks like freedom, and not just being in control of my time, but having the time to be able to really support my family and my loved ones.
Great. And I'm starting to, I would love to learn how to garden, by the way. I don't have a garden, but I'm always curious. People have a hobby like you have here and something you really want to do and you love to do. And I know I get to ask any question I want, which is pretty cool today. But what's one of the life lessons you learned just from gardening, just from getting out there and doing what you're doing? If you had to say, hey, Shay, here's a life lesson I want to share with the audience that I just picked up myself just from being out in gardening, what would you share with those folks that are listening and watching right now?
Wow. The lesson that comes to mind for me is understanding the importance of the seasons of pruning. So oftentimes with the types of plants that I had taken under my wing, I became a plant mom in 2020. They all had different types of needs. And so it's important for you to pay attention to the amount of light or the amount of water or sunshine versus natural light versus artificial light, right? It's important to know these things for your plants, but there are some times in which a stem or a leaf from a plant will be dead. And if you leave that dead portion of the plant on the plant, the nutrients, the water that you put into the soil are also going to be traveling to that dead leg, right? And the living piece is not going to get everything else that it needs. So it's also going to die. So when you are pruning it, you cut off the dead pieces so that you can have the life go to the living piece. The source, the nutrients, everything that you need will go to the part of the plant that is alive. And that is exactly what God does to us in our seasons of discomfort and pruning. There are oftentimes mindsets or habits that he has to cut off of us because we use them to survive. And now we are in a season of thriving. So those pieces are dead, right? It's uncomfortable to get it cut off or be yanked away or snatched from you, but it's necessary in order to pursue the life that he has for you. So that's my big takeaway from being a plant mom.
Nah, yeah, I like that, by the way. That's pretty cool. So we come down the home stretch. What do you do for fun when you're not out saving the world, helping people dominate, you're not helping folks implement emotional intelligence, which is essential. They don't have a choice. What do you do for fun when the camera's not on?
I am a multi-hyphenate. So I sing, I dance. You can see I have a lot of energy anyway. Many people mistake the fact that I am the life of the party with me being an extrovert, which I am not. I am introverted. So after I have danced and sang my little heart out with my friends, I come home and I hibernate and I watch TV and I eat good food and do, word search puzzles in my bed. So that's what fun looks like for me at 40, almost 41, rubbing my feet together under my heated blanket, watching good shows on TV.
That sounds cool. That's good stuff. Coming down the home stretch, two-part question. Number one, what type of clients is your firm looking to work with these days, if any? I'm not sure if you're taking on any clients, so that'd be cool to know. And number two, how can folks connect with you? They're like, hey, emotional intelligence is essential. I need to step my game up, okay? I need to be a part of this conversation. Where can they go? Is there a website? Is there a place that they can connect with you, maybe ask questions and so forth? So 2 questions. Number one, what type of clients you work with? And number two, how can folks connect with you?
Okay, we have something to celebrate because I haven't even really said it out loud yet, but I just secured the deal. We are in the contract phase of working with my first corporate client. So I'm so excited about that. My clients are typically schools and nonprofits or impact organizations that work in underserved or under-resourced communities. So think about in Chicago, there's a company called Centers for New Horizons that provides services for families, services for reentry, people who are transitioning from being in prison, coming back into regular life, schools, crossing guards, things like that. So I support the people who are supporting the people that need it most. However, I am now transitioning to include corporate clients as well, because since COVID, collaboration looks a lot different and people are struggling with that. So there have been a lot of requests to come my way to give either keynote motivational speeches or to do some workshops with corporate teams so that they can also build relationships that drive results. You can find me on my website. It's www.ucanation.com. Remember, my business is called Urban Community Alliance. So that's ucanation.com. You can also connect with me on social media at _UCA Nation, or follow me to see all the fun that I have in my everyday life and my work life on my personal page at _Domonique Natasha.
Thanks for all the work you're doing. I can't wait to see you again in person. It was so much fun. Thanks for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun today.
So did I. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, well, we don't have a show. So we appreciate you showing up. You have a lot of choices, but you choose to be with us. And I never get tired of telling you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, by the way, whether you're doing really, really well and you're going to that next level of success, whatever that next level of success looks like for you, or you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming. The one thing I do believe is that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one, reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Che Brown. I'm out. Make it a great day. So long, Dominique. We out of here. Peace, everybody. See you on the other side. Bye-bye.